You still can't find a date? The words slithered through the air like poison. My stepmother's syrupy voice cut through the room of pastel streamers, diaper cakes, and overpriced baby shower favors.
She didn't even look at me when she said it.
Just casually sipped her mimosa and fixed a pacifier-shaped brooch on her blouse. Then she added, with that fake smile and razor-sharp tone that only a lifelong pretender could perfect, "Poor Madison. Still single at 32. Just a failure, huh?" Before we begin, drop a comment and tell us where are you from and from which city you're watching our videos. And after watching the whole video, don't forget to tell us what would you do in this situation. Be honest, tell me in the comments below. We read every comment. Let's begin. Laughter erupted, soft at first, then louder, like a slow-building train wreck of judgment. My sister, already glowing from all the attention, placed a manicured hand over her bump and let out a dramatic giggle. Her friends followed suit, nudging one another and whispering behind plastic cups. I stood there, in a blue silk blouse I'd saved up 2 weeks to buy, gripping the gift I brought like it could somehow shield me from the humiliation. It was a handmade scrapbook, every page filled with childhood photos of us, of Emma and me. I had even stayed up until 2 a.m. last night pasting in a poem about sisterhood. Now it felt like a punchline in my hands. "Don't worry, Mads," Emma said sweetly, playing up the sarcasm. "There's always the Forever Alone aisle at Target. Comes with a coupon for frozen dinners and cat food." I forced a smile. My jaw felt like concrete. I didn't move, didn't speak. I just looked at my father for a trace of defense. Nothing. He sat back in his chair with his arms folded, eyes glued to the backyard, pretending he hadn't heard a thing. His silence stung worse than their mockery. "Let's open the gifts," someone chirped. And just like that, the attack on me ended. They returned to the glittery pile of bows and ribbons like I didn't exist. I turned toward the front window, blinking back the burn behind my eyes, trying to breathe through the tightness in my throat. The baby shower music buzzed behind me, but I barely heard it. All I could hear was the blood rushing in my ears. And then, a low, thunderous engine purred outside. It wasn't just any car. Heads turned. Phones lifted. Through the large bay window, a sleek black Lamborghini Huracan with red accents slowed to a stop, right in front of the house. The roar of its arrival hushed the room. People rose from their seats like spectators at a magic show. The passenger door opened. My name echoed loud and clear. "Madison. Babe, sorry I'm late." And there he was. 6 feet 3 inches, broad-shouldered, sunglasses tucked into his jacket collar, wearing a charcoal gray tailored suit. Casual confidence in every step. That smile, charming, magnetic, terrifyingly calm. Every breath in the room vanished. He came right toward me, ignoring every other face. I could feel Emma's nails gripping the armrest. I could feel my stepmother's drink lowering in slow motion. I could feel every eye burning holes through me. And then he kissed me, gently, deliberately, like he didn't care if the world watched.
Because he wanted them to.
"Sorry, I had to take a call with the London office," he said casually, sliding his arm around my waist. "You ready to go, Mrs. Carter?" Mrs. Carter. The name slapped the air like a courtroom gavel. My stepmother's mouth fell open, then snapped shut. My sister looked like she'd swallowed her own baby shower cupcakes whole. You're married?" Someone gasped from behind a gift tower. I didn't answer. I didn't have to. He answered for me, chuckling under his breath like the secret had finally been fun to reveal. "We don't make a big fuss about it. Maddie likes things simple," he said smoothly. "I just figured I'd swing by and pick up my wife. Hope that's all right." There was silence. A thick, syrupy silence. Until my father finally stood. "Wait. Carter, as in Ethan Carter?" My husband offered a hand. "That's me." My dad went pale. Everyone knew the name. Not just for the cars, or the money, or the penthouses in 3 cities, but for the scandal, the revenge empire. The billionaire tech tycoon who'd built his fortune after being humiliated and ousted by his own family's business. And I was his wife. The girl they had laughed at, mocked, called a failure. Now the one who walked hand in hand with the man they'd only ever read about in headlines. I turned back once at the door. Their faces. Frozen. Stunned.
Crushed.
And not because I had suddenly become someone worth noticing, but because I had always been. They just never bothered to see it. Until now. The ride from my sister's house was dead silent. Not because there was nothing to say, but because everything had already been said, without a single word. I sat in the buttery leather seat of the Lamborghini, staring out the window as the suburban pastel of party balloons and folding chairs blurred behind us. My hands were still trembling, but not from shame anymore. From release. From finally breaking free of their chokehold. Ethan glanced over at me. "You alright?" I let out a half laugh, shaking my head. "They called me a failure, Ethan. A failure." He reached across the center console and took my hand. "You were never a failure. You were just surrounded by people too small to understand you." I closed my eyes. His touch grounded me, but the memories came crashing harder now. Because this wasn't the first time they'd tore me down. This had been years in the making. The first sting came at 24 when I lost my marketing job. Dad called me dramatic. My stepmother offered me a brochure for a dental assistant course, said, "At least it's stable." My sister laughed and told me I should just marry rich. And when I tried to launch my own freelance design studio, they mocked it, called it cute. I remembered the way Emma once said, "Oh, Maddie's working from home now. That's code for unemployed, right?" I fought. I struggled. I sacrificed everything just to prove I could stand. But to them, it was never enough. To them, I was always just the leftover child. The mistake. The one who didn't fit into their image of perfection. Ethan pulled us into the underground garage of our high-rise downtown. The contrast couldn't have been more surreal. Upstairs was a penthouse with skyline views, a marble kitchen I still barely believed I cooked in, and a walk-in closet that made my old one-bedroom apartment seem like a storage locker. As we stepped out of the car, I finally broke the silence. "They're going to talk."
"They already were," he said.
"But now they'll shut up." I turned to him at the elevator. "Why didn't we tell anyone?" He looked at me, serious. "Because you deserve to walk back into that house on your own terms. And today you did." I couldn't speak. The doors opened. We entered the penthouse. The city stretched endlessly beneath us. And yet, all I could think about was how small they looked from here. How powerless they were now. How none of their words could touch me anymore. But then, my phone buzzed. A text. "Dad, come to dinner tomorrow night. We need to talk." And below that, "Emma, I didn't know. Why didn't you tell me? Please call me." I let the phone fall onto the granite countertop. Ethan stood behind me, slipping his arms around my waist. "What are you thinking?" he asked softly. "I'm thinking," I whispered. "They want something. They always did." I turned to him. "What if I say yes? What if I go tomorrow?" He kissed the side of my head. "Then go. Just don't go looking for their love, Madison." I looked at him, heart thudding. "Then why would I go?" He smiled. "To show them what they lost." That night I didn't cry. Not out of bitterness. But because I realized something deeply, painfully clear. All those years I spent chasing their approval meant I was handing them the power to break me. Not anymore. They laughed at me, mocked me, dismissed me. Tomorrow, they'd finally learn what it feels like to choke on their own pride. And I wasn't going there to argue. I was going to walk in, smile politely, and watch it all burn from the inside out. The air outside my father's house smelled like overwatered roses and desperation. Same suburban neighborhood. Same polished driveway. Same smug porch light that had once flickered on late at night when I came home from college, unannounced, and my stepmother pretended not to see me dragging in a suitcase alone. But tonight, the flicker wasn't just light. It was fear. Dad stood at the front door as I approached. He looked like he hadn't slept. Still in his golf slacks, but his collar was wrinkled. His tie undone. For once, he didn't look composed. For once, I had the upper hand. "Madison," he said, clearing his throat like the word burned. I smiled softly. Dad. His eyes darted toward the curb, probably half expecting Ethan to walk me up. But I'd told Ethan to wait. This part I needed to do alone. We stepped into the dining room. Polished oak table. Fake hydrangeas in the same cracked vase from my high school graduation dinner. Same stiff chairs. Same uneven chandelier. Only now everything looked smaller. Emma sat at the table. No makeup. Her hair pulled into a lazy bun. No friends, no fans, no audience. Just her. And next to her, my stepmother, arms folded, lips pursed, eyes already rolling. Some things never change. Others? We're about to. Let's sit, my father said. I took the seat at the head of the table. No one said a word. Not even my stepmother protested. Progress. I wanted to clear a few things, Dad began. About today. I crossed one leg over the other, still calm. Of course. Let's. Emma leaned forward, hands clasped. I'm sorry, she blurted. I didn't know. I didn't mean for it to go that far, what I said. I was just joking. We didn't think. No. I cut in smoothly. You didn't think. That's the problem. Silence. She bit her lip, blinking fast. Good. Let it sink in. I never told you about Ethan. I continued. Because I wanted a quiet life. We married privately. We didn't want to turn our relationship into some family circus. And yet, my stepmother muttered under her breath, you showed up with him like some movie in trance. I turned to her, voice level. No. I showed up because your mockery crossed a line. Again. Dad shifted. Madison, no one meant harm. But you have to admit, showing up like that, in that car in front of everyone. In front of people who laughed at me? He froze. Emma looked away. I reached into my bag and slid a small stack of papers onto the table. This is the deed, I said quietly, to your lake house. Their heads snapped toward it. What? Dad whispered. I nodded. You mortgaged it 2 years ago. Emma needed cash for her business. You were behind on the payments. Ethan's company bought the debt. Emma gasped. You bought our lake house loan? Yes. It was auctioned last month. Legally, it belongs to us now. My stepmother's face drained of color. You can't do that. I didn't do anything, I replied, voice flat. I was just there when your carelessness caught up with you. Emma clutched the edge of the table. You knew. You knew and said nothing. I stared directly at her. Exactly like you did every time they laughed at me. Dad leaned forward. What do you want, Madison? I smiled. Nothing. His face contorted. Nothing. I stood, slow and deliberate. I came here to tell you, I don't need you to love me. I don't need your approval. I'm not the girl begging at this table anymore. Emma's lip trembled. So, you're kicking us out of the lake house? No, I said, picking up my bag. You can stay. Ethan's transferring it into a trust. For your baby. She stared at me, stunned. But why? She whispered. Why would you still help me? I turned to the door, pausing just long enough to look her in the eye. Because I learned something you never did. What? That success without kindness is just a louder form of revenge. And with that, I left. But not without hearing the sound I never thought I'd hear in that house again. Not judgment, not laughter, but silence. Real silence. The kind that came only when truth finally entered the room. The next morning, I woke to 5 missed calls from Emma. 3 from Dad. 1 from a number I didn't recognize, probably my stepmother using someone else's phone now that I'd stopped answering hers. Ethan was already dressed, sipping his black coffee in the kitchen, scrolling through his tablet like he hadn't just helped me change the power balance of my entire childhood in one evening. They're calling again, he asked, not even looking up. Yeah, begging, I think. He raised an eyebrow. Or blaming. I nodded. Maybe both. He set the tablet down and walked over, placing the coffee on the counter beside me. So, what now? I go to work, I said simply. Like always. Because I had kept working. While they laughed, I built something. My design studio, quiet under the radar, had grown steadily. Clients across cities. Word of mouth. I didn't need to flash it around to prove it. Ethan smirked. Spoken like a CEO. Just before I grabbed my keys, my phone buzzed again. One message. From Dad. You were right. About all of it. I'm sorry. I stared at the screen for a second. Then deleted the message. I didn't need his apology anymore. At the office, my assistant, Kara, looked up and smiled wide. You're trending. What? She spun her screen toward me. Social media exploding. A blurry video from the baby shower had gone viral. The Lamborghini. Ethan calling me his wife. The shocked gasps in the background. Captions like, real-life plot twist. They laughed at her. Then this happened. I groaned. Perfect. Kara grinned. You're a hero to every woman who's ever been underestimated. I didn't feel like a hero, but I did feel seen. Around noon, a delivery arrived. Dozens of white lilies and a simple card. For the woman who made silence louder than a mic drop. I smiled. He always knew what to say, without needing to say too much. By evening, I stood at the window of our penthouse, watching the lights flicker across the city. No more hiding. No more waiting to be loved by people who only knew how to love conditionally. For the first time in my life, I felt whole, without needing their permission. A week passed. Then 2. No more baby shower texts. No more dinner invitations. No more backhanded comments wrapped in sugary politeness. Just silence. The same silence they used to punish me with. But now it was peace. I finally had peace. Until one afternoon, as I locked up the office, I found Emma waiting by my car. Alone. No makeup, no filters, no curated perfection. Just my sister, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. I stopped. How'd you find me?
Dad, she said.
He's been quieter. He doesn't know how to fix things with you. I'm not broken, I said calmly. I don't need fixing. She lowered her head. I know. I just needed to see you. Not to ask for anything.
Just to say it.
Out loud. I didn't speak. She took a breath. I was cruel. I was jealous. Of your strength. I thought if I laughed first, maybe no one would see how much I hated feeling less than you. I blinked. She looked up. But I always was. Less than you. You had guts. You walked away. You made something real. And I hid behind parties and fake compliments. I crossed my arms. So, what do you want now? Forgiveness. She shook her head.
No.
Just to say thank you. That caught me off guard. For what? For still choosing kindness. For giving the house to my baby. For not slamming the door the way I deserved. I watched her for a moment. Her voice didn't tremble for effect. Her eyes didn't water for pity. This time, it felt honest. I exhaled slowly. I didn't do it for you. I did it because the child deserves better than we got. She nodded, lips trembling, then turned to walk away. And maybe that's what healing looks like. Not hugs. Not dramatic reconciliations. Just truth.
Raw.
Quiet. Undeniable. That night, I came home to Ethan already pouring wine. He smiled when he saw me. You okay? Yeah, I said. I think I finally let go. Of them? I looked around our home, our life, and smiled.
No.
Of needing them.
He reached for my hand.
And as I leaned into him, I realized the girl who once sat at a family table swallowing her shame was gone. In her place stood a woman. Whole. Unapologetic. And finally free.